Hello, hello, hello. It is Thursday. Not that that means anything to anybody, but I just decided for fun to go live and maybe go through Reddit and look through some of the suggested fixes. So I figured you might want to come along with me. So that's what we're going to do. And if you join in at any time and you have a question, feel free just to drop it in the chat and we will see if we can figure out what the problem is. So if you don't know me, my name is Scott Merrill. I've been in IT for over 30 years. And on this channel, we do Windows tips, tricks, troubleshooting, reviews, all kinds of weird stuff. And I was feeling a little sassy today. I got some new toys in the mail. So we'll talk about that if you want to see them. But in the meantime, I am going to jump over here on Reddit and see what I can deduce from some of the people who are experts, and we're going to see what they say on Reddit. And probably another reason why you shouldn't trust everything you see on Reddit. We're going to try to keep this stream probably, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. If you guys have a bunch of questions, I'd love to address some of those. So just holler at me, and we will stop what we're doing, and we will jump in and tackle those. So let me see if I can get my chat window open here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So we're going to go. Let's refresh this Reddit r/pchelp page, and let's see what we can find. See if we can maybe answer questions for folks here. So, is this a normal noise for a Seagate hard drive? Well, I could pretty much tell you if it's making noise, it's not normal. But let me see here. Yeah, just sounds like a spinning hard drive, nothing to worry about. Generally, the only time you want to worry about a noisy hard drive is when it's clicking, when it sounds metallic. You know, it's click, 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 or stuff like that. That's usually indicating that you got a bad hard drive. And of course, in those cases, it's always good to make sure that you have your data backed up, because that's kind of important. So let me see real quick. I want to check something here. Okay. All right. So if you join in the chat, make sure you say hello. I got the chat window open here so I can see anyone wants to pop in and say hello. So I'd love to hear from you. So we're going to go here and let's see. There's so much crap on Reddit. Okay. Ooh, I don't know if you can hear that. He says, sounds like an airplane motor. Listen to this. Yeah, that doesn't sound good. That sounds like maybe he's got some fan issue, possibly. Maybe even a bearing in his power supply. Systems aren't supposed to sound like that, so definitely hope he gets that checked out. All right, so let's see. Question: laptop driver issue. Hello. Recently was working the day before. My laptop has decided to explode. Not sure that's accurate. And now whenever I use 80% of my applications on the exploded laptop, the application visually starts to distort and corrupt. One of the applications I use, Obsidian Notes, breaks as well, and it's impossible for me to take notes using my laptop for classes, so I was hoping somebody here might have an insight as to where my problem might be located on my laptop. Best way I could describe it is a graphical issue slowly corrupting an application, especially if you haven't clicked or actively using the application. But weirdly, it does nothing when I'm using Edge and looking stuff up. Okay. So, accuracy in reporting the problem would be helpful. The laptop did not, in fact, explode. What they mean is that it just isn't working. And let's see. Whenever I use 80% of my applications, I'm not sure where they get the 80% from. But here's my takeaway from this. what we do when we troubleshoot stuff is we have to figure out, what's working, what's not. And a lot of times the end user is not going to give you accurate information, or they're going to exaggerate. Like in this case where they say it exploded. I had the same problem the other day where a client said the machine wouldn't turn on. Well, I ran out there with a power supply thinking it was a power supply problem, and it turns out it was a BIOS error or whatever. So the machine actually turned on. So if you are in the market at some point to have someone help fix your computer, giving them as accurate information as you can would be really helpful, because in this case, if you said, hey, my computer exploded, I'm going to first ask, is everybody okay? In this case, he's just referring to a particular website and you can tell that because he goes, ironically, when you use Edge, everything works. Okay. So we see here he's using Google Chrome. Okay. So that would be the direction that I would go. Obviously, when you use Edge, everything works. Google Chrome does not. Obviously, it worked at some point. So I would either do a browser factory reset, which you can do through the settings in just a couple minutes. And that basically just removes extensions and any other crap that might have gotten load in there. And if worst case, you can uninstall Google Chrome and then reinstall it. And magically, most of the time, your problem's fixed. He's chasing Windows updates and NVIDIA drivers and not realizing that if it was a video problem, it would affect it regardless of what browser he was using. But when one browser works and the other one doesn't, start with the one that doesn't work. Just wanted to make sure that we were in fact live. Nobody's on right now, but that's okay, because I'm going to try to give you technical information, and whether you're watching live or not, if you want to come in later and maybe learn a few things, that's what we're going to do. And again, just make sure that when you get in, pop in, say hello in the chat. All right, so let's see what else we got here. Oh, sorry, that's that same one. So slow downloads. Okay. I love questions like these because there's so many variables, and most of the time everybody assumes it's their computer. I've got a 2019 MSI Aegis RS, and even with a new Samsung 2TB SSD, it still has slow download speeds, 50 to 60 megabits per second, when it should be in the hundreds. Is there an issue? I'm not seeing with like the Wi-Fi card chip or something. Is there a fix? Well, the first thing that I would do, especially if the problem just started, restart your computer. Believe it or not, that fixes so many problems. If that doesn't help, what I would do is compare download speed from your computer to, say, your mobile device. And you can do that with a free software called, it's Ookla Speed Test, right here. Ookla.com, and you can do this from your mobile as well. So if you want to test your bandwidth from your cell, you can do that. So when you click on the speed test, which I'm not sure why it's not loading here, but hang on. Okay, so in this case, you just would load this page and just click go. And then what it's going to do is it's going to reach out and it's going to connect to your a particular server close to you. And then it will give you your download speed and upload speed. And then what you can do is compare your PC download speed to your cell phone download speed, for example. So in this case, if you were getting a ton of... Okay, hang on. Let me pull this back up here so you can see. I didn't realize I was... sorry about that. So you go to Google Ookla Speed Test, click go right here in the middle. And again, what that's going to do is that's going to download just sample software or whatever. And then when you compare that on your cell phone, if your speeds are comparable, then you can say, okay, it's probably the router, at which point you would consider restarting your router. And if you restart your router and you're getting the same download speeds, you also have to factor in what time of day it is. If it's middle of the workday, there's a lot of internet traffic out there, then you might experience slower speed. If a new show just dropped and everybody is streaming that show, well, that's going to affect download speed. There's a whole bunch of different factors. I wouldn't automatically assume that it's your PC, because most of the time it's not. Usually most of the time with a PC, wired or wireless, most of the time it either works or it doesn't. It's very rare that it actually still works, but is slow. Now, the way routers work is they assign addresses to each individual device on your network. Okay, so you can have a PC that has a specific address from the router. Your cell phone, your printers, anything on your network is going to have an IP address that the router has given it. And what will happen is sometimes there'll be some miscommunication between the router and that device. And that's why if your cell phone is fast, your tablet is fast, your PC is not fast, restart the PC, let it get a new address from that router, and then test it again and see if your speed has changed at all. In those particular situations, a lot of times that's all you got to do. But when everything is slow, then you have to say, okay, maybe it's the one thing that's causing or the one thing that's distributing internet is the router, so restart it, and if everything works after that, then you're good to go. If the router's still slow, then you could contact your your internet service provider and say, hey, is there any outages in the area? You can even look that up online a lot of times. Or you can say, hey, can you remote into my router and just make sure that everything's working? Because routers do go bad, especially if you have a leased one through, say, Comcast or AT&T. Those routers are, made in Cambodia or wherever, and they break all the time. And it's entirely possible your router's just bad, and that's why you're not getting that bandwidth. So you have to kind of factor in what the problem is, what the factors are, what works, what doesn't, and then you can start narrowing down the problem. That's all we do, is say what works, what doesn't, when did it stop working. I'll ask all those questions so that you can go right to the problem. So let's go here. Let's see what else we got here. Well, I could probably spend all day answering questions on Reddit if I had the time. So, okay. All right. So, question here is, my PC randomly goes into a boot loop while gaming. Okay. He's tried two different CPUs, two different sets of RAM, two different power supplies, resetting the CMOS, updating the BIOS, and a clean Windows install. Cables fully seated along with his RAM. Well, his next guess would be the motherboard or the storage drive. Or it could be the GPU. In a situation like that, he's done some really good troubleshooting. He has basically said, let's swap all the parts, or as many as we can, and try to narrow, when does the problem stop? Okay, well, you put this part in and suddenly the problem goes away. Well, you put the other part back in and the problem comes back. You just figured out your problem. So he's basically done everything except replace that motherboard. And what he didn't do, and I would have recommended doing this, is pull that GPU out before we replace any parts. Because he's already gone and bought a new processor and more RAM and more power supply. Just pull the graphics card out. If those things overheat, which they do, especially if he's got an overclock, or he is a gaming. He said he was a gamer, so we know he's probably got a performance machine. He's maybe has it overclocked. If that GPU is overheating, that could absolutely cause the machine to restart. So I respect that all the work he's done here, but that would have been the first thing, is pull out anything that is not critical to the machine working. And before you replace a processor or RAM or whatever, just pull that GPU out. And I don't know, I'm going to see if there is a solution here. It'll freeze and crash while gaming, then get stuck on the MSI logo screen and reboot over and over and over again. Solid red CPU light at first, and now it shows a solid VGA red VGA light. Yeah, no solution posted, but that would probably be, I mean, you want to keep it simple, right? I mean, isn't that kind of the whole point, is don't spend all day trying to fix something that is probably not that big of a deal. That's just what I would do. So let's see what else we got here. Okay. All right. Fan speed issues. Need help booting to OS. Okay. So he's in his BIOS here. Let's see what we got. It's got a Core i7 8700 at 3.7 gig. Z370 PC Pro motherboard. So I inserted a new M.2 2TB disk to install a new Windows 11 on it. I downloaded Win 11 using Rufus to make a bootable USB stick. Did a clean install on a new 2TB M.2 disk. After OS install, I went to a BIOS to change boot order to my M.2, but I don't see it there. There's only visible my 64 gig USB stick. My system won't detect any M.2 drives, but when I go to easy mode and look up on storage, there it is listed, my two M.2 drives. Okay, so he just contradicted himself. What he's saying is when he goes into his advanced mode here, and it looks like that's easy mode. So I'm not really sure, but it sounds like the problem is that it's only not visible in advanced mode. I don't know if that's a BIOS update. I don't know, but the BIOS is obviously seeing the drives. You can see it right here. There's the 1 terabyte and there's the 2 terabyte Samsung SSD. I'm not sure. I don't know. That may be a BIOS thing, or maybe he's just not looking in the right section under advanced in the BIOS. So, but it looks like it's working. Oh, I love these. Games keep crashing randomly. Let's see. You got an Intel i7, G-Skill, Trident Z5, blah blah blah, DDR5, GeForce RTX 57 Ti. So I've been playing games fine until yesterday when I downloaded Fragpunk. Okay. I played for a while and it was fine. All of a sudden the game froze and quit. Then the same problem over and over and over again. Thought maybe it was just that game, but now I've played Dying Light, The Beast, and the same thing keeps happening. Nothing seems to be wrong, except my stuff keeps crashing and closing the game. Okay. Well, what he hasn't mentioned here is that machine overclocked? Maybe he's trying to push that machine harder than he should with it being overclocked. If that's the case, I'd remove all the overclocking, start with just the standard GPU performance, and play those games again and see if they crash. If they don't crash, well, now you know it's an overclocking problem. And so what you might have to do is say, okay, I'm going to go in increments so you know how far you can overclock it before it just throws up on you. Again, like with that other guy, it could be the graphics card as well, even if it isn't overclocked. Also, what I would want to know is this only happening when he plays games? I mean, if he turns on the machine and he can get on the internet and do everything that you do on the internet and it works, well, then we now can say it only happens when you're gaming. And there's nothing about gaming specifically that would cause that other than performance with the GPU generally. If you've got it set to maximum resolution and, it's maximum frame rates and all that, plus you've got it overclocked, well, now you're starting to get to the root of the problem. But if the machine plays the game at lowest settings with no problem, and again, step it up incrementally, maybe go to medium quality and, a little bit higher frame rate until, try to replicate the problem until it crashes. And then at that point, now you can say, okay, there's really nothing wrong with the computer. It's just my graphics card cannot do what I want it to do. And then at that point you might need to consider investing in a new graphics card. So, yeah, just more gaming stuff. And I think a lot of this is just people are just trying to push their machines too hard, beyond their, beyond what they should be able to do. So, see if we can find one that is not gaming related. So I'm running Windows 11, and I tried to restart my PC in safe mode because GeForce Experience won't download. So I was trying to remove any conflicting drivers. Now I'm not sure why he would need to restart in safe mode for that. That's not something that's required. You just remove the drivers and restart the computer, but I digress. Upon restart, it says I don't have internet and my PIN isn't available. Any way to bypass my PIN so I can get into my PC or possibly turn off safe mode via BIOS? I have a Cat6 Ethernet connection and my internet is fine along with the router and cable. Sounds like to me he restarted his machine in just regular safe mode and not safe mode with networking. When you do safe mode with networking, it then allows your wireless or wired drivers to function, whereas basic safe mode does not. And I'd be willing to bet that that is probably the case here. So, somebody is very upset about BitLocker. Okay. Yeah, exactly. The two options, safe mode and safe mode with networking. That's exactly what I'm saying here is that is most likely the case. And I'm not sure why he felt the need to restart in safe mode to delete drivers, but okay. He didn't break his computer. He just needs to restart in regular mode and tackle the NVIDIA drivers there. Okay. So how do I play a DVD without using my laptop? Without a DVD player, you're not going to. Now, you could rip that DVD, which means extract it into a watchable MP4 or MKV video file, which you could then store on the laptop, and then you would not need a DVD player to watch that movie. But you're going to need a DVD player to extract that movie into a playable file. So, I don't know why he, I'm not sure, like, how to play a DVD without using my laptop. Sometimes people ask the silliest questions. I'm like, how do you expect a DVD to play without a device to play it? It's a little stressful. Okay. This guy's just needing advice on a new GPU. Okay, keyboard keys are blinking randomly after dropping something on keyboard. Well, I dropped a filled water bottle on top of the keyboard, but I had a lid on so no water got out. But since it was a 1.5 liter bottle, it was quite heavy and landed on the keyboard with a loud bang. Okay, see, this is what people tend to not understand. Just because there's no water inside the keyboard doesn't mean that you're okay. It's a mechanical device, and there are buttons and circuits and switches and all kinds of stuff inside your keyboard. So just like with anything else, you hit it hard enough and you're going to cause damage, and you probably short-circuited some keyboard paths or whatever that's inside that keyboard, and that's why it's not working, and that's why it's blinking LEDs. Go buy a new keyboard and stop breaking stuff. Let's see what else we got. See if there's anything interesting on the Reddit. Okay. All right. Blue screen of death help. These are my favorites. So, I have a friend that lives across the country, and I sent him the parts list attached below. Ever since he's built the PC, it will randomly blue screen. I've had him reseat the RAM disconnect and reconnect cables. Haven't asked him to check the CPU socket or GPU because he doesn't have experience with building PCs. This is his first one. Can anyone recommend me some tests that I can do with my AnyDesk to narrow down his problem? I assume GPU, CPU, and RAM are all necessary. Well, we don't know what the guy did, but we could assume that if he's getting a blue screen, he's got everything installed properly, because if he did not install the CPU properly, the machine wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't post, it wouldn't turn on at all, and probably break the CPU if you don't align those sockets correctly. If you get a blue screen, that's a Windows problem, and that means that the machine at least got to that point where it tried to load Windows, and then something happened. He hasn't mentioned anything specifically about, any overclocking or anything like that. My guess would be that he probably doesn't have his RAM seated all the way down, and they're in there just enough for the machine to turn on, and then as soon as Windows tries to start accessing memory, that it blue screens. But there's a lot of things you could do. Maybe there's an issue. Maybe he downloaded a janky copy of Windows, and that's what he's using. I would try to see if you can get in a safe mode, see if that works, because sometimes that's all you need to do. Let's see what we can go here. One guy, I just saw that before I clicked off of it. One guy did mention thermals. It's possible if the guy did not put thermal paste on the processor, it would still boot up. Now, what'll probably happen, not a blue screen, it'll probably just power off, because the processor will get so hot without that thermal paste on it that it will just power off the machine. Boom, you're done. But he could have a little on there, maybe a tiny bit, but not enough to keep the machine running cool and stable, and probably just enough to get into Windows, and then Windows starts doing its thing, causes the processor to overheat. Boom, blue screen. That's possible. So I would definitely check the temperatures in addition to maybe just trying to get into safe mode. I was cleaning my PC with a blower and vacuum, and then when I was done, I booted Windows 11. I don't know if relevant. It said your device ran into a problem and needs to restart. I was at 0%. I turned it off, and then when I booted it again, just like it beeped 3 times, 1 long beep, 2 shorts. I tried resetting my RAM and GPU, reset the CMOS, nothing worked. First thing he needs to do is Google his particular motherboard beep codes, 1 long, 2 short. Those beep codes are there for that exact reason, so that you at any time can figure out what that is. One beep code could simply be a memory problem. There's in this case, I think somebody looked it up, RAM or GPU, and that's possible. When he was vacuuming the PC with a blower and vacuum, he might have caused physical damage, and maybe, or knocked, moved it enough where one of the RAM sticks got unseated. Hard to say. I don't know. This part of the problem is that we don't get, sometimes we just really don't get all the information that we need. And so the more information, well, first of all, stop using a vacuum for your computer. But let's see. Okay, this one is interesting. I'm not sure if I know a solution, but my Ethernet stops only when working in games. When he restarts the PC, it works again, but as soon as I go into a game, it stops working again. I'm slowly getting desperate. It could. I don't even want to say that could be a driver issue, because if it was a driver problem, it wouldn't work anytime. A driver's not gonna let it work in a game, or not in a game, but cause it to stop in a game. It seems like maybe security settings, firewall settings, maybe. Let's see if anybody else has any solutions. Yeah. What games are you playing? Have you checked your firewall settings? Yeah. He also hasn't mentioned, is this a new problem? How long has this been going on? Did it just start? Has he possibly tried just wiping the machine and starting over, especially if it was working before? There's too many variables here. And this is part of the problem is when people reach out on Reddit, novice users don't really think that like a PC person. So they just go, it doesn't work when I do this. And they just think, oh, well, let me wave my magic chicken foot and I have the solution. And sometimes, and a lot of times we can, because a lot of times we've seen stuff over and over and over again and we go, okay, yeah, I know exactly what that is. But when people don't give you the information that we need, then it forces us to have to ask constantly, what did you do? How long has it been doing this? So the more you can educate yourself as a novice or non-technical person, when you're talking to somebody who is doing this for a living, you're helping them help you, and, helps keep your sanity as well. This one says, my all-in-one is making noise. Let's see if we can hear it. I didn't really hear anything. Nothing outrageous. Let me play that again. Doesn't sound anything to me. Could just be, the drive, storage drive, but it was certainly nothing obvious. Okay. All right. Some application windows flicker or go black. Okay. Started having this problem since I changed my CPU, formatted all my disks, and updated to Windows 11. Right now, I have all my GPU drivers updated and my Windows 11 is on the latest version. It's not very clear in the video, but the windows of some applications, not all, flash rapidly or go black in some parts. Gives the sensation that the app has crashed. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what he said. Some applications. It seems like he says he's got his GPU drivers updated in Windows 11. He's formatted his disks and updated to Windows 11, which I can assume that means he wiped it clean and started over. GPU drivers updated. Windows 11 is on the latest version. I still think it's a video card. Those are the common things: the Windows, and your display. And if you've taken care of both of those, which apparently he has, I'd pull that GPU out. Well, first of all, I would probably go ahead and pull the GPU out. Just use the onboard video, see if the problem goes away. If it does, then you know where your problem is. It has something to do with that GPU, in which case you might want to possibly consider finding an older driver. Maybe for some reason the new video driver is causing that problem. I don't know. That's what it kind of looks like to me. More ads. Okay. My PC keeps black screening after an update. Please help. On September 12th, I updated my Marvel Rivals and followed that by updating drivers and my Windows. Now, for several days in a row, my PC has been randomly black screening and restarting itself. Mostly I'm in games sometimes, not even actually playing Marvel, but it also started doing it randomly when I have no games open. I've been struggling so hard trying to trace this problem. Biggest assumption is that something, either my driver updates or Windows updates, may have gone wrong. That's a good place to start. I've tried to manually uninstall the Windows updates through WinRe, which did not work. I have tried running SSC and DISM commands as well as a WinRe safe repair option thingy, but nothing is working. Yesterday for several hours I thought I had found something that's, it looks like they've done a lot, but what I would probably do is either if they, because it seems like the problem started with the Windows updates. So I would absolutely go into the Windows settings in the Windows Update and go into installed updates and remove the updates that have been installed since the problem started. And then if the problem comes back, you know it's absolutely not tied to the Windows updates. And you know, I mean, they've got a lot of games on here. You know, they said it doesn't happen much when they're not playing games, so I don't know, but that's where I would probably start. You know, it's Windows updates can cause issues like that. Certainly not like the, you know, big stink that's gone on lately about the Phison thing, but yeah, Windows updates aren't always perfect, and in that case, I would roll them back. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. I just love it when they post a picture of a card and say help. PC crashing. It's a RX 580. It's a mining card. And yet it crashes and crashes and crashes. Here's what it looks like. I just repasted it. Okay, that's kind of a scary paste job. It hopefully just temps. Can you guys... Oh, man. I mean, if he says it crashes, what does that mean? You know, is it, oh, you know, what exactly is a crash? Is blue screening in Windows? PC's turning off? What define crash? You know, it's possible that the graphics card is just shot. But again, more information would be helpful there. Or assembly problems. Okay. Let's see if we can find something interesting. Okay. Code won't open as administrator even though I am an admin. What to do? He's trying to go open with Visual Studio. Okay. So he clicks on it, and nothing happens. Now, I have seen this before with certain Microsoft Office applications. Like you can try to open somebody will try to like open a XLR or whatever it is, you know, like a template, and double clicking it and then telling it to open with Excel. But it's not designed to open with Excel. It's actually designed to open with a part of Excel. If that file somehow got associated with the, I guess is it the Visual Basic, Visual Studio, I would open Visual Studio, make sure that works, then go File, Open, browse to this folder, and see if you can open it from within the program, because it may just be something where you just can't double click it and it opens the program. That's interesting, but let's see. Is this card good for gaming? Well, what kind of gaming? Minecraft? What do you know, you're not gonna play Call of Duty. This is again part of the problem, is that, you know, they get a card and they just assume that they can play any game, and you know, people are just wanting someone else to tell them it's okay to do that. So let's see what we got here. Device ran into a problem and needs to restart. Watchdog violation. I have seen that on this machine before, and if I recall, it had something to do with the CPU. You can actually Google that error, because that's what I did, but haven't seen it in a while. But DPC watchdog violation. See, so in this case, okay, and so many people don't do this, but guess what? You type DPC underscore And look, Google is your friend. DPC watchdog violation is a blue screen of death error that signals an issue with a driver or system component taking too long to respond. And then guess what? It points you to a video showing you how to fix it. And it even shows you potential causes. And this is what I'm talking about. It's so much easier for someone just to jump on Reddit and say, help me, instead of doing a little bit of homework and saying, okay, let me see what I can figure out on my own. And then if I can't figure out, then we'll go from there. All right. Hang on. Okay. Okay, so we have a question here. And let's see. All right. Hang on just a second. I don't know why. Okay. The question is Windows 10 still going to stop next month? No, it is not going to stop. Your Windows 10 is going to continue to work just like it always has. However, what will happen is your Windows cumulative updates, you're not going to get those anymore. And what will happen is you'll still get security updates. Okay, so your Windows Defender, if that's what you're using, that will continue to update. Microsoft has not said that they're going to stop, or they said they don't plan on stopping that. But you're not going to get cumulative updates. You're not going to get feature updates. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because if a vulnerability is discovered in the Windows 10 operating system at some point, okay, it could be a year from now, 2 years, 3 years from now, at some point, if there is an exploit that has not been patched because you were no longer receiving those vulnerability updates from Microsoft, then your computer could be vulnerable. Now, if you're going to use your Windows 10 machine offline, meaning you're not connected to the internet, then you're generally going to be pretty okay. You don't really have to worry about being attacked because it's disconnected. But will the machine still work? Yes. Will your programs and apps and everything else still work? Yes. Will Windows 10 stop working? No. Promise you. I have machines that have Windows XP, which support expired well over 10 years for that. I could turn those on and fire them up right now and they work just fine. So don't worry about that. If you are interested, though, in upgrading to Windows 11, or if you're considering it, I would definitely give that a little bit of thought, because that way you continue to get those updates, and then you don't have to worry because Microsoft is going to send those to you through Windows updates and keep your PC safe. So hope that answers your question. This is a upgrade question. I've got an AMD RX 6600, ASRock A320M, AMD Ryzen 5, 2 8 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 600 watt PSU. Basically, he doesn't want to upgrade the GPU, but I can upgrade anything else. He wants more frames per second, and unfortunately, the GPU is what's going to give you that. I don't know if he doesn't want to upgrade because of cost. That's possible. He's got DDR. He's only got 16 gigs of DDR4. Now, he could upgrade I would probably, if he could afford it, go processor or GPU, processor, then RAM. The processor may end up costing more than the GPU. So, not really sure exactly what he's gonna expect to get without upgrading any of the devices that actually increase the frame rate. So, question here. Yes, to response to the Windows 10 there, therefore it's recommendable to upgrade to Windows 11. Yes. From a professional standpoint, now I know you may or may not like Windows 11. A lot of people don't. I kind of hated it. Sometimes I still hate it. But from a professional standpoint, it is my recommendation to upgrade to a supported operating system. It just makes sense. But again, everybody's needs are different. I've got a lot of people on this channel who say I'm never going to Windows 11. I'll stay with Windows 10 until the end of time. And that's fine. You could absolutely do that. But if you get bit by an exploit 3-4 years down the road, kind of did it to yourself. But if you're, looking to upgrade to a Windows 11 PC, there will be a link in the description. You can click on that, and I will help find you a machine that works with Windows 11 for your budget. So keep that in mind. But also check my channel. I've made several other videos about how to potentially upgrade to Windows 11 if you are on unsupported hardware as well. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend that, but I at least wanted to put it out there in case you want to give it a try. Definitely make sure you back up your data first. So we got here, let's see, I was hoping for something super exciting in the chat here, or in the Reddit. Okay. I have no idea what that is. Can't turn off overlay stat while playing Cyberpunk. Okay, well, that's a game setting, so I can't help you there. Booted up game and sent into blue screen loop. Okay. Anyone want to take a guess on this one? We've got driver power state failure, driver IRQL not less or equal, and I'm guessing the game is causing it. My computer's working fine until this morning. I booted it into Steam per usual, went to play Space Station 14. Next second I tried connecting to a server, it crashed. Now my computer won't get past either telling me to get started or the second posted screenshot. I tried unplugging it, flipping the switch, booting it up. This only leads to the choose or restart screen. I don't know if has he updated drivers possibly. He also indicated, let's see, worked fine till this morning, booted, went to place. Man, I don't know. That's tough. I would definitely get to the troubleshooting menus here and maybe just try to do a system restore first under troubleshoot. Go back to when that problem wasn't happening and then kind of start over and see what happens. PC enters strange mode. Okay. Not sure what strange mode is. What is... That's odd. Weird mode. This is my first PC. That will tell you a lot. It will randomly enter weird mode where my buttons do random stuff. The mouse's mode is weird. I will click on a game and it will open the game's properties. This happens when I'm playing games, but it also happens when I'm not touching anything. That would sound like a bug or malware virus, something like that. Anytime your computer starts doing stuff when you're not touching it, yeah. Given it is his first PC, I'd guess he doesn't understand the importance of security. Maybe he doesn't understand that you just can't go download stuff off the internet just because it's there. So let's see what we got here. Sounds like he needs a friend who can help him, like tell him stop doing that stuff. Blue screen on demanding programs. Upgraded to an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3060 about 5 months ago, and for the past 2 months my PC has been blue screening, as in the video, when I run anything demanding. Okay. Well, first thing I would have done is tried to look at that blue screen to see if I could figure out what that was. See, it goes super fast. Let's see if I can spot. Okay. Boy, that really was fast. There is a... Okay, here we go. Critical process died. So if you look down here, critical process died. Now, that could just be the game. But again, you want to start with what worked, when did it stop working, is it only happen when you play this particular game? He said, I've had it happen when I played Deadlock, Tabletop Simulator, and Counter-Strike 2 on high settings. Never had any crashes on the project I'm showing on the older card I had, which is I don't know. Okay, see, this could also be, and he's kind of doing his own troubleshooting here. He goes, it could also be something messed up with my CPU because I sort of tore it off the motherboard when I installed the new GPU because I had too much thermal paste on it before and it stuck to the cooler. So, yeah, it's possible, kind of got a little goopy, and maybe it was easy to remove, but not terribly easy, and maybe he bent a pin. That could certainly cause it. It shouldn't cause a problem with just a specific game. So I would say start looking at your GPU. Pull the GPU out. Play the game, or start playing the game on lower settings. See if that works fine. If it does, okay, well, you know now you have to only go so high. You can only go so high on that GPU. If it crashes playing that game on the GPU at any level, then pull that. Does it only happen when you play a game? There's more demand on a piece of hardware that causes a blue screen. Take the hardware out of the equation, the problem goes away. Hardware was the problem. So a lot of times these people kind of fix it themselves. They just don't realize that they already know the solution. They just want someone to tell them, yes, that's it. So all right, let's see if we can find. Okay, so this one is one that I see often. Old computer has malware. How to transfer it to my school? How to transfer my schoolwork safely to a new PC? Well, what you should probably do is get a external drive. Doesn't have to be like this one. It can be any one. Plug it into your new computer or your good clean computer, and then run a deep malware virus scan on it. And then once you do that, then safely transfer those files over. Yeah, learn how malware works, or more importantly, learn how to not get malware. Okay, all right. Bluetooth icon disappearing. See, I love stuff like this. These are interesting to me. It's about a year where I face this problem, and you guessed it, Bluetooth disappearing. Whenever I connect my headphones to the Bluetooth, it just lost its connection after a while, and the Bluetooth icon starts disappearing, and boom, it's completely gone. Not that it's always happening, but once a week for sure, and it doesn't have timing. Sometimes multiple times in a single day, so maybe once every 2-3 days. Before any help, I'd like to share that I've done everything on the internet: driver updates, software updates, power plant management, Windows Fresh install. I've done it all. It just doesn't work for me to get it. Okay. He's pretty much covered all his bases, certainly covered the software side of it. If he's having a Bluetooth problem and you wipe your computer and Windows reinstalls your Bluetooth and you still have problems with it, it's not Windows. Most likely what I would probably say is the Bluetooth, either the Bluetooth chip or adapter inside the computer has either started to come out of its groove where it fits into the computer, or that the Bluetooth is just going bad. If it's seated properly and it's just not working. The good news is you can get on Amazon and buy a USB Bluetooth for about $7. So I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't, worry about that. Just accept the fact that if you've reseated it, it's still not working. Don't spend any more time on it. Go get you a little USB and everything will work. I've done that before. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So this is a good one. This is kind of the stuff I get all the time. System restore error 0x80071A due T. 2D. What does it mean? And what am I supposed to do? My internet doesn't work, so I wanted to restore it to a point where it worked, but that won't help me either. So let's do that. Let's research that exact error. Literally, copy and paste. Okay? You can go here, just type it into Google and read. Instead of reading Reddit comments, how about go to the developers, Microsoft, okay? See what other people are saying about that specific error here. And a lot of times, and I can't even believe I'm saying this out loud, but a lot of times Microsoft actually gives you good quality information, here as far as doing this, install one update at a time, run, like here, the clearing the Windows Update cache. But it tells you often that it's related to a specific thing, okay? And that's really what you want to focus on. If you look here, the first 3 comments, this one here, and this one here. Windows Update fails on reboot, boom, there's your error. Windows Update fails, boom, there's your error. So right off the bat, you know that that particular error code is Windows Update related, okay? And so do a little homework. And okay, it doesn't work on your internet, doesn't work on your PC. We don't know why. It has nothing to do with this because that's not a Windows Update problem. That's a internet problem that he's having. But you have a cell phone. Google 0x8007 1A2D. You would have seen those very first same 3 results all say this is a Windows Update related issue. Okay, booting issue. Okay, about 3 days ago, I was playing a game and my PC just shut off. And anytime I attempted to turn it back on, it would boot, then off again. This time it would stay on for slowly decrease, suddenly stopped booting. I understand my PC isn't incredible, so it could be that, but I've never had this issue before. Nothing happened to cause it. All cables are plugged in correctly. Let's see what happens when he tries to boot it. Okay. Power switch generally helps. Make sure it's in the correct position. Oof. No lights, no fan, no processor. I have seen that, I don't know, it's silly, but it actually can happen. I have seen that issue when the button, and this is crazy, HP machines used to be horrible about this. So what will happen is when you press that power button, it's just a piece of plastic and it's got a little tip on the other side. And then that tip, when you press the button, presses a sensor. Okay. So you're basically doing this when you push the power button, but you're pressing it in like that. And what happens is over time, you push that button and it just wears it down. And eventually what will happen is you press the power button and it almost can reach the sensor, but not enough. You could take that front cover off and press the sensor, fires right up. I can't tell you how many times I've fixed those. I don't know exactly. It's probably not that case because he did say that he was playing a game 3 days ago. The PC just shut off, and anytime I attempted to turn it back on, it would boot and then off again. If it turns on and goes off immediately, I would probably suspect processor. That is generally a dead giveaway. Doesn't mean the processor's bad. Means maybe he didn't have enough thermal paste on it, which would cause it to overheat very quickly and shut the machine down for safety. The time it would stay on slowly decrease and suddenly just stop booting. Yeah, maybe that's, I would absolutely pull that processor out, repaste it, make sure it's seated properly, remove any components in the computer that aren't necessary, and then go from there. You may have a bad CPU. So let's see. GPU lag. Seems like everybody has a problem with their processor. Okay. All right. So let's see here. I get this notification, but I'm worried if I need to reinstall Windows. I've not had any trouble or bugs before this, even during the notification. Should I click reinstall? Is it okay to leave it like it is? Okay. So, okay. So, what this looks like it's telling you is that there is a issue with your Windows. Even though everything appears to be working correctly right now, if your Windows updates are telling you, hey, we've detected a problem, you should reinstall Windows, you may not need to, but you don't know what's going to happen in 3 days or 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 minutes. So when Windows detects that there's a problem and it says do this, probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Now, if you have your data backed up and you don't care either way, then yeah, probably 50-50 whether you want to do it or not. But if you have your data backed up, 100% I would absolutely do that. Just, better safe than sorry. So we're going to do a couple more of these and see what we got here. Just trying to find interesting solutions. Okay. All right. And it's the same thing as before, like this one. You get an error like this. Look for the error code. It's telling you right here, 0xc. Okay, all you gotta do is Google that. If it's telling you that your device needs to be repaired, probably a hard drive. But again, so many people don't bother looking at error codes, and I don't understand why they don't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Just look it up, and at least you kind of know. Okay. OneDrive is killing my PC. Yeah, well, OneDrive. Let's see what we got here. Is this a normal noise for a Seagate external hard drive? I don't hear anything. I mean, I'm not sure. I just don't have my volume up enough, but it doesn't, this is our airplane motor from earlier. Let's see. Okay, we're back on track here. Not a whole lot of people have jumped in today, so don't get to answer any of your questions, unfortunately. But we're going to at least maybe try to make the internet a better place by knocking out some of these Reddit issues. So it looks like right now, that's probably all we're going to do today. What was I going to say? If you found any of these interesting, make sure you leave them in the comments or let me know. If you have a question that you want answered after the stream is over, go ahead and do that. Leave it in there, and I'll try to address it as soon as I can. And as I've always said, if you watch any of my content, if you do need a recommendation for a new PC, there is going to be a link in the description. If you click that link, I'll tell me what you need. What's your time frame, your budget, all that, what's your usage. I'm going to laser focus and find you exactly what you need and get you all squared away, especially for the fella in here earlier that's considering upgrading. So I can certainly help save you a lot of money doing that. So I think I'm going to wrap that up today for this live stream. If you enjoy the idea of me live streaming and answering your questions, let me know in the comments what day and time would be your perfect time. And it doesn't have to be right or wrong. If Tuesdays at 3 o'clock work for you, or Saturday at noon works for you, let me know, because I want to start doing more live streams. But with nearly 300,000 subscribers, I don't know if the time that I choose to do a live stream works for the vast majority of people. And I would rather wait and do one where more of my viewers are there. It doesn't matter to me when I go online or go live. So just tell me. Like for me, I would probably say Sundays at noon would be perfect. You know, you don't have to worry about SEC football. NFL football hasn't started yet. All kinds of stuff. So just tell me what works for you. And then I will, if I get enough of those, you know, dates and times or whatever, then I can start planning my live streams to go when you guys are actually going to be watching. So thank you so much for popping in. Thanks for watching if you've made it this far. And hopefully we'll see you in the next one. So peace.